I'm going to continue just for another few minutes, and then maybe, I don't know. have a chat or something if you're into it. So, here we go. Yeah. It's just me having a bit of fun on my keyboard, which I don't really get to do much. I prefer my guitar anyway, but I like to mess around on it. It's not Jameson fueled, Frank. It's just pure Chardonnay fueled, actually. If you really want to know. So, who's here? Is it worth staying up for another few minutes? Tree watching. All right, I get the message. I know, but it was really just this to test out the sound going out over this thing. So I don't know what the story is. Frank, would you like to join for a few minutes to have a chat or say hello, or anybody else as well? By the way, just say the word. I've recorded that, so maybe I'll just play it back for the hell of it. It's only 10 minutes long. Just see what it sounds like in my own ears while it's going back out over. And if that's boring you, someone put it into the chat box, and I'll just play some more live music. But if you're still out there, Frank, and you're interested in a chat, don't hesitate. Alright, guys, I'm going to head off. Yeah, thanks for joining in and spending some time. Take care. That's you, Frank.
It is me, Del. How are you?
Hang on. That recording came out pretty cool, actually. Ooh.
What was that?
That recording came out pretty cool. That was a recording of what I just played live, about 10 minutes ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is. And now it's repeating back again.
Yeah, I literally recorded it just on Audacity. It was literally a test. I said, I'll see what it's like. I played it live and recorded it at the same time. Did you not hear me saying that in the chat?
No, I was away making coffee for a second while I was.
All right. So then I said, all right. I recorded that bit and just played
sounded
it.
Great.
Sorry?
It just sounded great. And it goes really well with the clip you've got of driving. Is that in the Irish countryside, is it?
That's in, yeah, I filmed that myself and I turned it into a rotoscope cartoon type thing. And yeah, I put that up just as an experiment as well, but I literally put some of Hoaxbuster. That's why it's called a cartoon drive in the countryside with listening to a Hoaxbuster, because it was a bit of one of Chris's calls. So I just, experimenting, and I just uploaded it to YouTube.
Yeah.
That's
great.
That was ages ago. I'd say that's about a year ago. I'd say, if not more, could be 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
So, how are you keeping, man?
Look, as well as I can ever remember, Del.
Excellent.
If not better. I'm just my life is extraordinarily charming and pleasant in every way at the moment.
I'm quite happy for you, man.
Yeah. What about yourself?
I'm grand. I'll tell you, I was listening away to yourself and Ab on the audio chat there the other day, whilst I was out cooking,
Yeah.
And I had me Bluetooth Bush radio thing in my jig. It looks like a giant speaker, but it's an old-fashioned job. But you can, connect your Bluetooth thing to it. So I was listening to, that's my kitchen speaker. And I was having a great time chopping onions and listening to yourself and Ab chatting away. And, man, I don't think you'll ever be banned from Fakeologist again,
Really?
I don't think so.
I think it's a matter of time.
I don't think so. I think you always were part of the furniture, even when you were banned. That's just a strange part of it.
They just kept banning me. It's very funny.
Yeah, well, there's funny, but we could look back and laugh. But at the time, it was kind of like, what the fuck?
Well, it didn't bother me. I just said, I was surprised. He'd send me an email. I said, "Oh, have you unbanned me again? Have you?" And then I'll remove you from the list. And then he'd send me another email saying that this might be of interest to you. And I'd say, yeah, it might be, but you've banned me. This went on for months.
It was probably like, okay, we'll give you one more chance. No more.
This is definitely your last chance, Frank. Stop talking about Dallas Goldberg. And then someone will say, I thought you'd only let him back if you promised to stop talking about Dallas Goldberg. And I said, I never gave that commitment at all. In fact, I'm sure I said, I'm going to keep talking about Dallas Goldberg.
Yes, you never recanted Dallas Goldberg. And why should you either? That's the point.
Exactly.
Everyone has their own field of investigation.
It just amuses me that it's such a hair trigger for people.
It was in the earlier days, I think. Well, me personally, I've kind of mellowed, like it's look, put it this way. It's not like occupy the lobby for 5 or 6 days in a row, but not talking to people.
Yeah.
You were always available for comment, even
Always,
if you.
always available for comment. That's one thing I am always available for.
I know. You know what I thought was brilliant though, when yourself and Ab were chatting away, and do you remember when he asked you, "Did you ever get an apology?" And you upright standing, went, "Of course I did."
Well, you remember that? So I actually did get an apology from Kay.
I remember that at the time, man. That's what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
it was great just listening back, like listening to the pair of you talking, like recently, you know, the other day.
Yeah. No, that was a good chat though.
It was brilliant. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I just like the way it flowed and gently covered the stuff, didn't it? It would be a good introduction for people into this stuff if people were listening to it.
And do you know something else? I honestly think that's the first time that Ab's ears pricked up, and he actually was asking you for links to the salt.
Yeah,
that's the first. It's Ab's salt awakening, even though he's heard it before.
no, he's as he said, he's not on board. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I think he was on board by the end of that conversation. Or maybe it's just me. I don't know, but I was cooking away. I was chopping onions and
yeah,
I was having a great time. But listening to this pair of ye in the background was like added extra, you know, ambience to the whole evening. But
I have to say that I continue to find it surprising just how much of a difference it's making physically.
Salt?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I continue to be surprised by it.
Well, even something you said the other day in that chat, and I haven't gone as far as that until recently, until listening to you actually mention it. But well, I haven't put salt in my coffee per se yet, right?
Oh, now that really works well because of the bitterness.
Yes.
And in fact, it's an old trick.
I said to Elaine there earlier on this evening, I said, do you know what I did last night? And I rarely ever eat chocolate.
Yes.
Right? But do you know what I robbed one of my granddaughter's chocolate chip cookies?
Yeah.
And I haven't had a chocolate chip cookie in years. But do you know what I did? I have one of these little salt grinders. You know, you press the button.
Yeah. Oh no, I haven't seen one. You've got a press button one, have you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You've never seen them?
No, but I want one. I'll have to go on eBay and find one.
Bloody hell! They were selling them over here in Aldi and Lidl. You know, the German supermarkets.
Yeah, we've got that here.
And the one thing I find that I would give them a thumbs down on is you have to put 4 AAA batteries into it.
Yeah,
so
that is annoying. Yeah.
Oh, it's a well, yeah.
Although just on that topic, I have a little battery recharger, which you can put, and I'd have to find it, but it's got
no problem. There's no problem with the batteries per se, right?
Yeah.
What the problem was, and I made a little remedy to it, but it's definitely a design fault in them. Is
right.
You've got your 4 batteries, and they've got a nice little compartment. You slip them in. Right, you got 2 on either side, and they're encased then in the so-called, salt cellar.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, what's the first thing that you do when you press salt? It starts vibrating because there's a little motor that turns the grinder to grind salt.
Yeah.
Dislodges the battery, or all you need is to dislodge one battery from one side, and it just
stops working,
and it stops. So yeah, sorted it out. I just put some sellotape around it, and then of course, because it's such a slim fitting thing, you have to kind of work, and you get it back in. But then the problem is that you it slightly moves, and then it's a design fault, right?
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, right, well, we're in the age of, obscurity as soon as you buy the fucking thing. But this is really taking the piss. This is like German engineering at its highest, but for the want of a millimeter of battery space,
It's gone wrong.
it fucks it up. Yeah. So,
Gee, imagine that.
but they
That
do
would never have come out of Germany 10 years ago.
yeah, but that's the thing, man. They do exist, and when they work lovely.
Yeah.
But they are, it's kind of like, put some cell tape on it and then wrap a bloody, elastic band around it, that kind of stuff. But when you
Yeah.
press the button and it starts grinding and it doesn't dislodge the battery, it works out brilliantly,
So I'm going to now look on
they're out.
eBay for
Yeah.
a salt grinder. eBay. I just bought a friend of mine a meat grinder the other day. Electric.
A mincer? One of the mincers with you push down the thing.
To make sausages.
Oh, yeah. Excellent.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. See what I'm talking about?
Yeah. They all look a bit phallic, don't they?
They are phallic, and especially when they have wobbling batteries inside. They're they're dildo-ish.
Yeah. Be easy to mistake them for that.
There's the thing, man. Have you seen P-Shays, right? And I'm not just thinking, go from dildo to dodo, right? That's but have you seen the sort of the discovery he made with the Milky Way? Well, you have, haven't you?
Yeah. No, I saw it. Yeah, that's what prompted me about the genius of it all.
Yeah, what's your reaction to that, man? I thought it was wow.
I thought, I agree. I think it's quite plausible, isn't it?
Yeah. And you see, that's the thing. I'm just going to have to get myself a nice, picture of the moon and start looking at all these points of light and see how many of them do match up to the, 88 points of light in the various constellations.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, he's. I just thought the way he dealt with Brenda was, well, it was a bit ruthless, I suppose, in the end. I wonder if Brenda realizes what I think the word you used was a twat. He's making of himself.
Yeah, well, look, we've been used to listening to Brenda stroke Brendan over the past two to nearly 3 years now at this stage. So it's kind of like a flashback to the old Fed debates and whatever when Brenda went into Pichet, and he was after giving out the link to a few people. Like he sent me the link, as well privately, but I didn't know that at the time. But I saw it then, like when I turned on the Google thing, and I just sent him a message back. Look, I'm not going to interrupt now because this was when Brenda and him were, he was basically wiping the floor with Brenda at that stage.
Yeah.
I said, no, if I went in, it would interrupt the whole flow of the thing. So I said, no, work away. And by the way, I sent him a link as well because I took out the bit out of his hangout with the Milky Way and the moon and how it fits over, right? And I put that up, just posted it on my own YouTube and sent it to him, and I said, I hope you don't mind, but I just wanted to point that out to people. And no, he was grand with it. He left a message, a comment and everything on the video, so he's grand about that. So I think that whole Brenda thing was like a 2, maybe 3 hour distraction from, frankly, what we were talking about there with implications,
Oh, I thought it was, but I thought it was actually really instructive. To that, because I just found the guy completely illogical.
Oh, you haven't heard him for the past 2 years, so
But I just think it's instructive the way that Peter just let him basically just show himself to be a nong.
yeah, the patience is brilliant.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was. That's what I was saying. It was quite ruthless, really, wasn't it? Peter was just unrelenting in allowing the guy more and more space to be stupid.
That's it. It's called give them enough rope and they'll hang themselves.
Well, it was really, yeah. It was shocking, really. I was really surprised that Peter was that ruthless. I didn't know he had it in him. But there you go. It was. I thought it was excruciating for Brenda in the end. When he hears that.
Yes.
Well, do you think he's a genuine person?
No, I think he's some sort of a meme that's been put out there.
Yeah.
That's what I honestly think. And you saw how he ended it all. He left all.
No, I didn't see how it ended in the end. But I'll have to go back and listen to it.
He literally beamed out. Right? He just went, "I'm so upset." He was upset after insulting P. for
non-stop.
Yeah, and P could have said a lot of things, but like you said, man, he's very patient, and it's remarkable an intelligent mind that can just play with this fecker that had one agenda, well, possibly two, but you know what I mean. He was defending an indefensible concept, and in the end, he just went. Oh, he did. He just threw his stuff out of the pram and like disconnected himself.
Is that what happened?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You have to wonder why he was hanging around, but it seems to be like it's his job to try and manage Peter in some way.
Yeah. Come in and do the whole bullshit, right? And then, right, the whole sort of mainstream scientific bullshit, and then introducing all the transgender stuff, like the double whammy, really, I think.
Yeah, it's we've got a vote on here about all that stuff at the moment. But really, what I guess what surprises me is the way the words have changed. Instead of being called sodomites, they're called gay now.
Yeah, they took a gay used to be happy when I was growing up.
Yeah.
A gay day was turned into, oh, what a gay day, and ha ha ha. It was twisted, but gay basically used to be a happy gay man out on the town. These days, that means something so different.
Yeah. And I can't really understand why they got rid of the word sodomite. I would have thought it was a very, friendly term, wouldn't you?
Well, my views on that. We're talking. Well, in my view, man, we're talking about another, an earlier bunch of ideas that's put into people's. We don't need either of them to actually know. We know instinctively that that's it's bullshit, right?
Interesting.
What I'm saying, yeah, but
yeah. Yeah, kind of fascinating.
Where you're coming from too, though, if you of the stick, so to speak.
So what are your thoughts about how long it's all been going on for? I'm starting to conclude that it's not very long at all.
Well, I'm the guy with 1649-ish book. Yeah. I don't know neither people have looked at that one.
Well, it's hard to argue with you, really.
It's bloody the source material, man. That's the stumbling block on all these people who rattle out historians, you know, like it kind of knocks down the whole historian, the mainstream historian thing in one go.
Except that, you know, I had if you like, a discussion with an historian on the Scaligeri thing, and he just outright flat denied that Scaligerian was the first, where the first history came from, and yet the briefest of searches confirms that over and over again.
Yeah,
it's a little bit, that kind of denial is pretty tricky to deal with. He just point blank said, no, Scaligeri wasn't the first historian.
yeah, but that's the equivalent of like going billions and billions and billions of years ago. You know, people laying down on the table certain beliefs, really, you know. I know this, man. So where it comes asunder is where they're sort of telling you this is the only way and that's it, you know.
Yeah,
I get it.
But and similarly, this is the story I'm having with Ray at the moment, because Ray thinks it's crazy to think the world might be flat, right?
Yeah, but yet he's the fucking premier provider of nuke lies and everything else lies. You know,
exactly.
all this shit. So why does he draw the line as anything?
And the whole point is that if he disregards the work of Einstein, then essentially he has agreed that the Earth is unmoving and flat.
Yeah.
So that's the puzzling thing.
There's something else with Ray as well that I can't put my finger on at the minute. I can't remember. There was something else that's like out of the blue. Oh yeah, evolution. He kind of
why he supports that? Yeah,
he's into the evolution thing.
And it's an interesting thing to put a matrix together of you know, all the people with their various. There seems to be only so far people will go, doesn't it?
Yeah. And that's why I scratch my head and say why, because he can see what's, you know, the bullshit. He's got one of the biggest comprehensive websites out there.
Yeah.
Between nucleus, hollohawks, the Jew question, everything, right?
Yeah.
And yet, then he goes, he laughs because you know, a colleague of mine, he's a salt expert, and everything is, you know, tickety boo, and he tells me the Earth is flat. Sigh. You know, that doesn't equate with me. Now, maybe he's on catch up. I think he's older than us, man. Well, he'd be at least
well, it's
the same age groups. I know. I don't know, but
at the same time, Simon Shack is also a baller, isn't he?
Simon Shack's working out his own bloody solar system. You know, so how are we going to pull him back down from, you know, down to earth?
Yeah, and you know, well, as I said, I still haven't been disproved on the view that you can't have a vacuum of space against the atmosphere, and I think I posted that in my blog, and there's just absolutely no response to that at all from anyone. Just nothing.
There's that, and there's so many of the obvious ones. And rather dubious characters put up to fucking do those dubious ones.
Yeah.
And I say even your man, the Beyond the Imaginary Curve, who used to be Daryl, and then all of a sudden everyone calling him Del.
Right. So that is an interesting thing, how they've sort of taken your identity, isn't it? And apparently someone's taken my identity on Google.
Really?
So there's an ounce of salted gay on Google. Somewhere, Google Hangouts.
And it's not you.
It's not me. That's not me.
Yeah, you see, that's all they can do is fucking take your persona.
Yeah.
Your online avatar.
Yeah. So interesting how it's all working.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me. And as I said, the issue for me is that accepting the model that there is a creator who protects you has been astonishingly successful for me.
Yeah, well, you see, that's the thing. We are basically, when you look at it, right? Say if you start on sort of first base and you're just looking around, you would have to agree that there's someone created all this. This didn't all just fall into place.
Agreed. Yeah, that's fundamental. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about the system either. I'm just talking about
the bit that we live on.
Yeah, where we are.
Yeah.
We're a giant terrarium. We can visualize a terrarium because people make them.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, but even then, the people who make terrariums, they take bits of the rock, they take bits of whatever, and they put it together, right? This is already here, so it's been created in some form. It didn't just fall out of the sky. Okay. So yeah, so then the biggest thing then that the system would use is to create all these different religions, different belief systems, different blah blah blah, all based on the one verifiable fact that we can look around and say, well, this was created by it wasn't created by my next door neighbor or the guy down the road in the shop.
Yeah.
Or even the guy on the television set pretending to be the president of America.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Frank, you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it's really down to people comparing their notes of their own life experience and everything.
Exactly.
Supernatural to the mundane day-to-day existence, right down to health, how to keep on going along in this realm, like by looking at salt and everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess the idea that I like your terrarium analogy because no one expects someone who makes a terrarium to be all-knowing, all perfect, etc., etc., etc.
Maybe
why do we imbue those qualities on the creator of this terrarium? I don't.
Exactly.
I mean, certainly, I would agree that the creator is obviously the most powerful. Certainly, the most powerful. Certainly, has all the cards. But to be all-knowing, absolutely perfect, there's no reason to believe that. If you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
And that's what I think is the flaw with all of the stuff that Dave Eager does.
But that's
the assumption that as far as I was never claimed that the creator is has absolute power over free will and etc., etc., etc.
Yeah. Well, Frank, he's just. I'm not going to do Dave Eager impersonation. He's funny though, isn't he, when he gets wound up.
And so, if Dave was able to provide that kind of scriptural claim, that'd be fine. To me, if he could find a part in the Bible that said very clearly that the creator is perfect and all-knowing and all that sort of stuff, that would be fine. But I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that claim made. Have you seen it?
No. But I'm back into the thing of, right, I've been there, done the books, and fucking hell, man. I don't even want to start doing that, right? But the whole two-parter thing, the Old Testament and the Jew stuff and everything else, all of that, it doesn't sit at all with the next part of it, and all of it just reeks of, the CIA of 1649-ish right now.
Right.
So, I'm sorry, man, but that's my really gut feeling on it all.
Well, except that to me, I think, at the moment where I'm at is, it seems pretty straightforward to me that that the view that somehow we can evolve into some kind of gods ourselves is just nonsensical.
Yeah, but that's what they're pushing. That's the sort of the
But
overall.
that's what I'm saying. That's the if you like, the Talmud view, the Jewish view.
Yeah.
But the old Torah view. So the modern Jewry works on the Talmud, which is the Kabbalah, right? That somehow we can get to be like God.
Yeah. And I don't go along with either of those. And there's more than just two. That's the other thing. The dichotomy. They're always putting dichotomy in front of us, Frank. So there's so many fucking ideas and concepts out there that. Sorry, go on, man. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, that's right. So it just, as far as I can work out, in the end, what's happening in our creation is that we're just getting mechanized. The stupidity of all these cars and roads and phones and there's no point to them at all. What are we doing all this for? Why are we creating robots to do everything and just covering the world in tar and cement? It clearly is a dumb thing to do.
It's cutting everybody off from the earth. For some reason, we need to be grounded as well. And that's not like the woo-woo new agey stuff. That's like literally something that everyone can do.
Yeah, so that's why I think that if you like, the idea of the Kabbalah versus the Torah has got some value, simply because in the Talmud we're all heading towards this kind of mechanical monster, and in the Torah
we're not even included in the Talmud, man. We're the enemy to be destroyed.
That's it. Just straight at destruction.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess that's how I see it. And that idea that we're the tribe of Dan, I think that's pretty good. Pretty interesting idea. Have you followed that?
I've heard about the tribe of Dan and the lost tribe, the 13th tribe.
And that it's in
the Irish connection to all that stuff.
That's right. And it's in the Scottish Declaration of Independence from, what is it? Robert the Bruce.
Robert the Bruce, yeah.
Yeah, so he basically claims independence from England on the basis that he is from the tribe of Dan.
Yes, but you see, the Scottish end of all that is mixed up in the
33rd degree Masons and the Scottish Rite.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the leftovers of the Friday the 13th massacre and the remnants escaped to Scotland. You've heard that one.
So go through that for me.
The Freemason, the Templar, Knights Templar, basically.
Yes.
And do you remember the Friday the 13th? That's
yes, the so-called massacre. Yeah.
And you had a sort of a remnant of them escaping to Scotland.
Yes.
And continuing on, and that manifested into the Scottish Rite Freemasonry.
Yes.
You've heard of all that. Well, that's all I was saying. I think.
Did that predate or postdate Robert Bruce?
Do you know? I don't know, Frank. I honestly don't know that one.
So let's because that massacre was in the 1300s.
But let's not forget that all of this is narrative. We're just talking about.
Yeah, sure. No, I absolutely agree. But at the same time,
I think that I don't think that any of this stuff.
Okay.
Happened.
So here is my view, right?
Mm-hmm.
just basically. So Robert the Bruce was before that Friday the 13th massacre of the. So the Friday the 13th massacre of the Knights Templar. So this is a great conversation with me, by the way. So that occurred.
Quite enjoying it, Frank, actually. You know,
that occurred.
I don't think I've ever had a fucking bad conversation with you. But anyway, go on.
So here's an interesting thing, right? So the Knights Templar thing occurred in 1307, right? And Robert the Bruce has made a declaration before that. So in my idea, these ideas are connected, because in fact, Robert the Bruce was excommunicated in 1306, and then in 1307, the Knights Templar were all massacred, and then they moved over to Scotland. So my guess is that these events are connected. The declaration by Robert the Bruce.
Right.
That's just come out of this conversation now. You look at the timing, which I've just looked up.
Yeah, it's very fucking close, isn't it?
Yeah. And you are basically connecting this idea about the tribe of Dan, the declaration by Robert the Bruce.
Yeah.
And then the Knights Templar, which, as you say, they basically came over and took over Scotland after that. And it's interesting that from the time the Knights Templar got to Scotland, the whole Scottish movement kind of petered away, and they essentially acceded to British rule.
Yeah, but if you also think about it, the umbrella above the Scotland, Wales, Ireland, England, was the German family, right?
Yeah.
And to this day, they're still there.
They're still there.
They've got the presence in Scotland with that whole Knights Templar feel to it, and mystery type. You know what I mean?
So I think that
all over the place. You know, it's in Wales as well. They got the
absolutely
back, or the back garden of the Prince of Wales is Wales.
Yep.
You're the Prince of Wales. You're the fucking Prince of Wales. And then Ireland has always been, the rebel place, but always also been the fucking controlled place.
Yeah.
Always has been. There's none of this independence bullshit. It's either overt or covert. It just depends on the time of century. Really, that's what I think, Frank. Now at this stage.
Yeah, no, I agree. And in the end, I would say the Friday the 13th massacre thing is just a total fake.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Well, I should say it's the other way around. I'm agreeing with you. You put the idea out there first, but
yeah.
And so I think if I put those things together, that's where I think the idea of the lost tribe of Israel, the tribe of Dan, Denmark, the Danube, all that sort of stuff, has got credence. And I'm also reading a really good book about the early life of Jesus at Glastonbury in England.
The Merovingian type trip where
it's not even that.
With his wife.
It's not even that. It's the childhood of Joseph of Arimathea was trading in England, and the claim is that he took Jesus with him, and there are records of this land settlement that still exists. These 10 parcels of land out of Glastonbury to this particular community, those titles still exist. Now, the difficulty in the link, of course, is the idea that these titles, which were granted in around about just after William the Conqueror got there in 1066,
Right.
are connected with Jesus from 1,000 years before. But of course, if you have the view that 1,000 years of history has just been added in randomly,
They just threw it in, man. They literally did.
yeah, and then once you put that together, everything all fits pretty neatly.
Yeah.
So again, that's why I guess I have the view that there is something to this thing, that it's between, if you like, the devil,
Mhm.
tricking people, and the whole Jewish thing, the whole Talmud thing, is, I guess, what we're seeing played out now. The Talmud, if you like, is how gay marriage and all that sort of stuff is working out for us.
Well, all of that stuff is manifesting in reality around.
Yeah.
From Australia to Ireland to America, everywhere.
Well, I think it came to Australia first.
There's people homeless all around the place, as you know.
Yeah.
And they're more worried about whether, changing genders can get married now at this stage. It wasn't even just gay marriage. It's like they could change in the blinking of an eye, man.
Mm.
Could identify with being a fucking pineapple or something, Yeah.
It's all totally interesting.
It's when the controllers realize, and they're so drunk with power, that it gets to the bizarre. It becomes the theater of the bizarre. That's what I think, Frank. And we're witnessing it. We're looking at all this shite. None of us were brought up to be like this, were we?
No.
To be like them, you know what I mean? When they're coming out with all.
Well, I would argue that my upbringing and your upbringing must have been close to identical, really, Del, given that my family came from Coal Island.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be a huge amount of difference between the way
we were still all exposed to the bullshit, like the propaganda, but like there was something, even to this day, and that's probably why we're here talking about it. I know when I hear bullshit, and when you have a whole group organization, and they're convincing everybody else of it, and you know something, that's out of pure laziness as well. In one way, people are so hardworking, they'll get up, silly o'clock in the morning, go to their job, do their job, come back. But then after that, they're too lazy to fucking think about anything. So they'll just.
And that's because where people are so beaten down by the system, they just want a moment of peace and quiet.
Yeah, so they'll take all the bullshit. And then, on the other hand, the people who are tasked, they're the same. I'm sure they have to get up in the morning, they commute, and then they have to maybe orchestrate some sort of a psyop, a Joey and Maria's wedding with exploding, bombs in some marathon or something. And then they go home and whatever. And no, I'm only just talking about the humanity that's involved in this, but the bottom line is people are doing it to other people. And, I'm not going to say we're doing it to each other, but it's kind of a close proximity.
Well, I guess everyone that joins the army or the police force is effectively working for the other side.
Yeah, and they don't seem to give a shite because they'll quite happily just do their job, so to speak. So as long as that mentality is there, nothing's going to change.
Well, the reason it's there is because of this disconnection from the creation, isn't it? And from the creator, in my view.
No, well, we're back to, someone created this thing, and, You know, some people seem to arbitrarily be able to get away with controlling this thing that was created, but not by them. You know,
but not by them. That's right.
that's the bottom. That's sort of like a
But
simplistic
that's but that's
explanation.
straight.
But
That's straight out of the Bible, isn't it? The Bible says
well, that's
Satan took over.
yeah, they've had enough time, albeit 500 years or 1,000 years or whatever, right? But like I would think it's a lot closer, right, to 500.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, but there's not. They've had enough time to write out whatever they want, and then at the same time, Frank, they're whatever they wrote out, and with the technology, which they probably had at the time, and they're only rolling out bits and pieces of it, you know, like
Yes. Yep.
purely just for people's enslavement, really.
Yep.
And so they really are behind it all. They're in charge of the narrative, but that I think that's
Okay. So, but those people that are behind it all, in my view, that's what I was saying. Is I think they're the fallen angels.
Mhm.
There seems to be no other explanation for it to me.
And the ones that mated with the human
Yes. Yeah.
Nephilim, etc. Yeah, I'm aware of all that stuff.
So that's I can't think of any other explanation than that. How? Because generally speaking, they don't seem to like humans at all, do they? It's
No,
not just about control. It seems to be a bit more than that.
the only thing is, you know, I'm completely aware of all that stuff, and we've seen so many different, like the likes of your man Steve Quayle and all that, you know, with
Mhm.
you know underground bases and giants, and I've listened to all that stuff, you know, over the years, so I'm aware of all that stuff.
Hmm.
I'm also aware of the fact that it's quite simple for the people who are fucking controlling this whole realm, if you want to look at it in that way, right? And the only I'm only saying that if it was like a cold clinical where this is, you know, we're and it's also been how many books have been out there, you know, this is what they want to do, right?
Yeah, and so that's where it comes down to.
Notwithstanding
Listen,
the
listening to
Bible stuff, you know, and
that's where it comes down to listening to those models, hearing them,
mhm.
and and when you apply them, do they provide any effective assistance to you in your life? That's where I've come from. And so the model if you like, I've kind of using at the moment is that if I pray for protection, I will get it, and that's what's happened so far in
Yeah.
very clear and obvious
I,
supernatural ways.
do you know, Frank, I have that same kind of theory. I use the word model, right?
Yeah.
But it's a working model in a sense where I know what you're talking about. It's kind of like when it comes down to literally just right me, and I'm surrounded by the rest of the world here, and I'm making my way through my day, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's kind of like, no, that's not the way. This is the way. And it kind of just manifests the way
Yes.
it should be for in my particular time in that particular moment. And
Yes. Now, and
you
now
know,
I'm going to say that for me personally, that was not the case until I started using prayer. And I think you've heard
well,
me express this before.
well,
My life was completely different.
yeah. You see, that's the thing, Frank. Whether you could assign my prayer to the Catholic Church when I was 12, or
Mhm.
whether you could assign my prayer to, you know, like just I know this is weird, but like I'm just getting on with my life and whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping for the best. And I know there's a creator out there and you know that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right up to now, it's the same kind of process, only under various different categories or belief systems at the time. You
Yeah.
know? Well, that's in where I'm, you know, that's literally my analysis of, you know, over the years, you know, and the fact that even if you get to 50, well, you know, you've managed to avoid an awful lot of fucking uh, obstacles and
Yeah.
attempted assassinations, just as you know what I mean, vaccinations and everything else.
Yeah.
So there's a reason for all of this, man. We're in a creation. We are people that, for some reason or other, can see the bullshit that's going on. We mightn't agree with the different machinations, but we will agree that there are machinations
Yeah.
against us. You know,
I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have said that we were too different in our view about how it works. Would you? Would you think we were very different?
No, if we got down to just, you know, in and out belief systems or whatever, or what we were thinking about, we'd probably, you know, have a good, and I wouldn't mind having back and forth, you know, debate about it.
But
But
I guess again, I'm going to
we're
repeat what
all-
I always repeat to Dave. Is hopefully I don't have any belief system.
no, that's me. I said that before, didn't I? Hang on.
Yeah.
The fucking microphone's falling down.
Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you perfectly, man. And we're still going out, I think, over the old YouTubes.
Are we?
Yeah, and
But no one's listening, so it's okay.
you know, it's funny.
Oh, sorry, my wife said she's listening.
Yeah, it's one watching now, so that must be your missus. So, and I'm connected to it, so that it just goes to show YouTube even lie about. So there's probably really three people there: me, you, your wife, and maybe a random, and I'm sure, you know, a couple of security services and maybe a troll. There should be at least 5 people watching this. And I was saying too, now they're copping on, they're saying, oh shit, yep, they're all on their coffee break. And they're Googling salt. And they're, do you know what? That's what I think is going on, Frank. They're
Right.
all, they're learning. They really are. Some people I think are just randomly coming across us talking.
Yeah.
And fuck, salt? What are they talking about? And then they'll
Yeah.
just see it. And then that's the thing, Frank, man. How many? It's nearly 3 years now that when I started, the first time I heard you talked about salt, and I went and you know, I went on to, you know, and I went to how to take care of your penis. Come on, man, could you not think it's a better?
Oh, come on! It was the best. It's the best site ever.
I know, but it's like it doesn't matter anyway because you know the times catch up with everyone, I suppose, in this day of culture creation. But the thing is, that's not even really avant-garde anymore, you know.
That's right. It's nothing.
They go, how to take care of your penis? Sorry, you know, get a hoodie, and if I don't know, man, I'm sorry, I'm being.
It had the shock value for almost 3 minutes. Is that what you're saying?
I just remember there was one time I was standing outside a pub in Amsterdam, having a cigarette, talking to a guy that I literally was talking to 2 years ago before that about chemtrails. I was going on about chemtrails. We're all doomed. The chemtrails are everywhere. I was telling him all about Clifford Carnicum and everything. That's how, you know, wound up at the time it was. And
Yeah.
would you believe, 2 years later, the same fucking dude, and he saw me and he says, "Hey man, I looked into all those chemtrails. The first time when I was telling him about him, he says it's just as well I have an umbrella." And he pulled out an umbrella and just turned it up. And he was standing outside. The second time, he was still fucking the same bar in all the gin joints in all the world. I'm not joking you, man. Fucking Amsterdam. And this guy, he was an English guy, but he was working over there. And he had the best job. If you wanted a job, right? Say if you didn't have your salt thing going on,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is the best job ever. He was an English teacher, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But he worked in fucking KLM, the Dutch
Airline.
uh,
Yeah.
airline, teaching all the air hostesses basic English for dealing with English customers. So the guy is in a scenario like he's got all these lovely air hostesses. I'm sure it's all changed now. They're all transgender Africans and Indian people. Not that there's nothing wrong with that in in the new world order fucking world, but please,
It's
man,
less.
have a chuckle there.
It's less fun for him though.
Yeah, but this is his job, right? And
Yeah.
and he let on and he allowed me to imagine and everything that he's just teaching a bunch of lovely Dutch women that are you know air hostesses how to say, "Would you like another cup of tea?" in English. I know that sounds weird, doesn't it? When I even think about it now, I'm thinking to myself, maybe he was just CIA and he was, or MI5, and he was just following me around because I was putting up chemtrail stickers. I had all these little stickers and I was leaving them all over the place. There's a trail of stickers about, Google chemtrails were being sprayed from Ireland over to Holland, also from Ireland to France, also from Ireland to fucking Portugal.
And so you're not a subscriber to that view anymore.
Oh no, I just ran out of fucking sticky. I know, I'm joking, man. No, listen, man. I am totally aware that they are fucking spraying something, but I am not on the the platform of those people that Clifford Carnicom and et al. That are telling us they got fucking, Morgellons disease in powder form for you. And I don't go along with that. But at the same time, I will say I don't know what they're spraying. So, Frank, what? Tell me, am I wrong or am I being properly cautious?
Well, I guess it's interesting the stuff about making a whole new series of categories for clouds recently. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, you'll see. See, this is the thing. This is the one thing that we can actually uh, say with all sort of certainty is that we are seeing changes made to the sky.
Yeah.
See these things flying over. They're like a long fucking, and then they spread out, and then before you know it, there's all these weird clouds. And then you can see various things, and you see this is where we go into speculate because it's no one has actually proved it to me, but you like pulses, electromagnetic pulses, and you'd see these like they're like slabs of marble in the sky.
Yeah.
where they just look like boom, 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 off in the
Yeah.
distance. You've seen
Yeah.
them, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen them over here too. So, and there's the group of people who will actually just totally dismiss that and say, "Ah, you're not fucking, that's bullshit, right? Have some more gallons." But like I'm saying, right, that's the kind of stuff we can see. And then the other part of the chemtrails
Well,
is everything we've been told about them. And that's what I don't go along with, anymore. And now, years ago, that was the only source, like say Clifford Carnicum, and he had a HEPA filter, and he told us what was in them: barium, lithium, aluminium, whatever you have in your selfium.
mm,
And nanobots then came along when, you know what I mean, as the special effects got better, you had fucking all sorts of stuff. But
yeah.
that's just my appraisal of it now, so Frank. So I'll let you have the floor now, man.
Well, it's I guess the difference in what's happening in the skies, as you say, is it, there's something happening. What's its
Yeah,
purpose? I don't know. What I guess I'm always interested in is why is there so much air travel? Um, and everything's made difficult except for air travel for people going on holidays and so on. That has become so inexpensive.
yeah,
And at the same time, they're saying, we've got to reduce fossil fuels, but now there's something like 1 million people in the air at any one time. The fossil fuel use must be off the tree.
yeah. And everything is so scary because randomly can be just some sort of a terrorist,
Yeah,
It's,
so you would
it,
have thought the difficulties of air travel would be so severe that it'll be a bit tricky. But
yeah. It used to be in the 70s, it was just like straightforward. Take this plane to Beirut, and then they'd
yeah,
land and just maybe shoot a terrorist. Then, everything be grand. What
yeah,
it's gone to just ridiculousness, but yet they're still insisting on, there's certain people who go, they're trying to end travel, and they're going to put everyone into their pens and blah blah blah. No, what in reality, what's happening? There's more and more air travel,
yes,
and the reason why with the 9/11 thing they were able to roll out a whole new layer of jobs for the boys, because if you think about it, if you're sort of like a ruling family and you got all the marbles, back in 1649ish, and you're allowing everything to just sort of expand, and you're seeing all, how your secret military is creating all this stuff, you're letting it all sort of ride. It's like someone betting on, you know, a table or something in a casino.
mm,
Let it ride. Let's see what happens. I think that's what's going on, man.
mm,
And at the same time, they're creating the narrative, right? Because they already had sort of like their fallback, So they're working on like an Armageddon type thing,
mm,
but they're also they're introducing all these, they're experimenting with stuff, and then before you know it, there's, ah, I think that's what's happening, man. And I think we're just some people just can see what's going on. They're not interested in the whole. Everyone else is too busy looking down on what's the latest whatever X Factor shit, and we're the ones that are just looking for the latest, sign of the psyop that's going on. Um,
yeah. I mean, yeah. All right. As I said, I think what I've come to, well, like I said, the model that I've ended up using is that it really is super simple. That the Bible is pretty much got the story right, and that all we have to do is ask the Creator to look after us, and all that other stuff just seems to just pass by. It's only people that live in that world that end up with all the consequences of all that fear of all those things.
Yeah,
that's all. So in the end, I guess I am also kind of ducking out. I'm saying, yeah, okay, and I don't care.
Yourself into the hands of fate or something like that.
Well, the problem is they're so powerful anyway, right? Mm-hmm. There isn't a very clear path to get out of the way of them, except that if you just don't get in there, if you just live your life, nothing seems to affect you. Right? Am I explaining myself reasonably?
You are indeed, and how I would sort of explain how I've been getting on with my life is sort of similar to what you were saying there, man. I'm aware of the Creator. I'm completely, totally skeptical of all the bullshit that we've been told about everything. But
the fear stuff.
I've always had a personal relationship with her at the time when I was a young lad and just, being in mass and whatever. There's some God there. Then I read into stuff and figure out all the bullshit. But strip it all back, there is still, and you can call it what you like, supernatural or whatever it is. There is, I can still sort of talk to the Creator in the sense of that I do know that there is something that created all this stuff, whether it's just, my delusion, but I don't think that, right?
Well, that's what I said. So I've just assumed. I don't. It's not important to me whether it's a delusion or not. All I can do, if a scientific person, if someone who thinks that they're logical, if they hear a model and they're in trouble, and they hear a model that says, "Oh, why don't you do this and see if that works?" and so you do that and it works, then it's kind of illogical not to keep doing it. Is how I view it.
Yeah.
As a child, I can think of several times when I said, "Oh, gee, God, please help me," and invariably that happened. I got that assistance that I wanted.
Yes, that's what I was trying to sort of, portray to yourself and to the listener.
Yeah. And then I forgot that for a while and didn't do that for a while. And then it's only in recent years I've kind of kicked it back in again. And the personal results have been nothing short of astonishing, really.
Yeah.
And so I've just concluded that the rest of it's probably true for the people that are basically not praying and not aware that there is protection from it. In short.
In short, indeed. Frank, man, this has been fucking a really amazing conversation. And I hate to cut it short, but I'm not really cutting it short. We did go on for a while. But I do have to head off to my bed.
Yeah, but please do so. I better go and do some work. But yes, thank you for taking the time, Del. I really appreciate it.
It's grand, man. And like tomorrow at some time, or maybe on Monday, I'll isolate the MP3 and all, and I'll post it up on the blog, and so there'll be a record for you. You can download it. So
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome, man, and thank you for fucking joining me tonight and crazy Del pub lock-in.
All right. Take care, Dale. Sleep well.
Yeah, man. And the next time we'll have to do that karaoke, the YouTube karaoke.
Yeah, maybe. But the technology is going to have to be better. But yeah.
Yeah, well, definitely. But I don't have. I have. Well, the guitar is there, but I'm not starting to play the guitar now. I'm gonna turn off the keyboard. I might just play that bit that I recorded there earlier on tonight.
I'd really better do some work, and my wife will stop talking to me.
Yeah, I'm quite
And,
happy with.
no amount of protection from the creator is going to help me.
All right. Good night, Frank. And I'm sorry to Frank's wife for keeping him.
See you, man. Bye.
Right, man. Take care. So, everybody here, I'm just going to replay. It's just a bit of keyboard that I played earlier on tonight in the recorded. I was just testing out how Audacity sort of plays up against recording live on YouTube, and it seems to work. So I'm just going to replay this thing again, and I'll say good night and thanks to everyone who listened in. And I'll post it on the View from the Bog, maybe on Monday. I might do it tomorrow. Who knows? Anyway, thanks everyone for listening. And I'll just cue up this thing and play it. A bit of Dell on the keyboard, basically making a mess of various songs.